There is a war being fought for your attention, not metaphorically, literally. Right now, some of the most brilliant engineers and behavioral psychologists on the planet are being paid extraordinary sums of money to make sure that the moment you feel even the faintest whisper of boredom, there is something irresistible waiting to fill it. A notification, a recommendation, an autoplay, a scroll that never hits a bottom, and they are extraordinarily good at their jobs. Because the cost of their success is not just your time. It is your capacity, your deep, quiet, irreplaceable capacity to think, create, and want something badly enough to actually build it. Morris had lost that capacity so gradually he didn't even notice it was gone. He was not, by any measure, a stupid or unambitious man. Morris had ideas, real ones, the kind that arrived in flashes of genuine excitement and felt, in those brief moments, like something worth pursuing. But the ideas never went anywhere. They surfaced, glittered for a moment, and then disappeared beneath the next wave of content before Morris had spent enough time with any of them to turn excitement into action. His attention had become so fragmented, so conditioned to constant novelty, that anything requiring sustained focus felt almost physically uncomfortable. Morris filled every available silence. Headphones in on the commute, podcast playing while he cooked, phone in hand the moment he sat down anywhere, television running in the background even when he wasn't watching it. He told himself this was just how modern life worked, that everyone lived this way, that staying informed and entertained was not the same as being distracted. But the truth hiding underneath all that noise was something Morris had been carefully avoiding for a long time. He was bored of himself, of his own unmediated thoughts, of the quiet that, without stimulation filling it, felt vaguely threatening in a way he couldn't quite explain. The ideas kept coming. Morris kept not acting on them. And the gap between who Morris sensed he could be and who Morris actually was getting quietly wider every month. The stumble happened on a long-haul flight. Morris had settled in, reached for his phone to load up his usual rotation of content, and discovered with a lurch of something close to panic that he had forgotten to download anything. No shows, no podcasts, no playlist, just 8 hours in a metal tube with nothing but the low hum of the engines and his own unoccupied mind. For the first 40 minutes Morris was genuinely uncomfortable. He fidgeted. He checked the flight map obsessively. He read the safety card twice. His mind, so accustomed to being fed, did not know what to do with the absence of input. It felt restless and itchy in a way that was almost unpleasant. And then, somewhere over the second hour, something unexpected happened. The restlessness settled. And into the stillness that followed came something Morris had not experienced in longer than he could remember, an uninterrupted train of thought. One idea connecting to another, then another, building on itself without being hijacked by a notification or derailed by an autoplay. His mind, finally left alone with itself, began to do what minds were actually built to do. It began to wander, to make connections, to ask questions and sit with them long enough to find answers. By the time the plane landed, Morris had filled 11 pages of the notepad he found in the seat pocket. Not polished work, not a finished plan, but the most sustained, generative thinking he had done in years. Raw, alive, entirely his own. And underneath the excitement of what he had written was something more unsettling, the recognition of what he had been drowning out all along. His own mind was interesting. He had just never been giving it enough silence to prove it. Morris did not throw his phone into the ocean when he landed. He was not dramatic about what he had discovered, but he started making one small, deliberate change. Every day he gave himself one period of unstructured, unstimulated time. No podcast. No scroll, no background noise, just 20 minutes of being alone with his own thoughts, walking, sitting, existing without consuming. It felt awkward at first, then merely quiet. Then gradually, incrementally, like coming back to a room he had locked years ago and finding it full of things he had forgotten he owned. The ideas started sticking, the attention started returning, and the ambitions that had been flickering on and off for years began, for the first time, to burn with something that felt like it might actually last. Here is what the dopamine trap is really doing to you, and it is worth saying plainly. It is not just stealing your time. It is lowering your threshold for discomfort so dramatically that the sustained effort required to build anything meaningful feels intolerable by comparison. Every time you reach for your phone at the first hint of boredom, you are training your brain to need rescue from itself. And a brain that cannot tolerate its own company cannot produce anything that requires depth, patience, or genuine creative thought. Boredom is not the enemy. Boredom is the doorway. It is the moment just before the good idea arrives, just before the real question surfaces, just before your mind reaches down into itself and finds something worth finding. The most important thing you can do today is nothing. Deliberately, uncomfortably, bravely nothing. Put the phone down. Sit with the quiet. Let your mind wander without a destination. What surfaces in that silence might surprise you. It surprised Morris, and it changed everything. If this story moved you, subscribe and share it with someone who needs to hear it today.